beater, 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 beater. As you can see, I'm using my new webcam, and I tried to get it to work for my other videos, but it's only going to work for the Pokemon videos, so it should be a new treat for you. But today we are going over the top 10 Pokemon that should not exist. These are my opinions. You have your own. Voice them in the comments below if you are feeling so. And without any ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. But before we do that, go ahead and give me a like. I do appreciate any feedback that I get from you guys. I really do. We're going to have a honorable mentions list. It's a couple of Pokemon that just missed the list, and I have opinions about them, and they have their own reasons for being, you know, totally pointless and shouldn't exist, but they just missed the list by this much. So we're going to go over those Pokemon first. Okay, so the first Pokemon on this list is Swalot. That is not technically on the list. It's an honorable mention just because it's just another pink poison type Pokemon. It's just another trash type Pokemon. You have your Muck, Grimer, and you have Garbodor, obviously, and I just thought it wasn't a very creative Pokemon, is what I should be saying. So that just missed the list. The next Pokemon that just missed the list was Chimcho, whatever you want to call, however you want to call it. It is a Generation 3 Pokemon, and it is really kind of useless. It has terrible stats, as I'll scroll down here. Base 425, really not good in any category. Special attack, I guess, being 95 is okay, but all in all, it's a very weak Pokemon, and it didn't even have any pre-evolutions or evolutions until the following generation. It got its pre-evolution Chingling, whatever it is, just to give it another baby Pokemon, but it is rather useless and kind of, you know, dumb looking. It's a I know this is like a lot of Japanese tradition, but it's just a wind chime. That's all it is. So that's also just missed the list. Another Pokemon that just missed the list was Klinklang, just being because it's kind of not it's not very creative. It's another Pokemon that I didn't find to be very creative. It has pretty decent stats. It gets access to a move called Gear Grind. Only it and Genesect have access to that move, so it has its uses in competitive. It is just really kind of dumb looking, and it's not very creative. The pre-evolutions are Klink and Clang. You put them together and you get Klinklang. Obviously, this is one of the Pokemon that people argue is really kind of pointless and shouldn't be a Pokemon. But if you look at its stats, it actually has some pretty decent stats. It has 100 base attack, 90 base speed. It's okay. It's useful in underused. I think it's actually rarely used now. Sorry, Shift Gear is the move I was trying to think of. It goes up 1 stage in attack, 2 stages in speed, really making a late game sweeping threat. Another Pokemon that just missed the list was Klefki. Now, Klefki is one of the most unique Pokemon. It's Steel and Fairy, and the only other Pokemon that's Steel and Fairy is Mawile, and that typing alone makes it very useful. It has its uses. It's actually, I believe it's overused. It's in the overused tier, and it should be. It has the ability Prankster. You see it in the Ubers as well. It's just the ultimate Dragon Stopper. You can bring it in on a Latios, and you don't have to worry about a thing. Unless it's running Earthquake, and then it's still not going to do a whole lot. But really, it's a support mon. It has the ability Prankster, like I said. It has access to moves like Thunder Wave, Toxic, Spikes, which is amazing. It used to actually be one of the more threatening mons with the ability to use the move Swagger, until that did actually get banned. Swagger was banned recently. Well, not recently, but in this generation it was banned from competitive use just because T-Wave plus Swagger plus Foul Play. It has also Foul Play, which is very useful, dealing off really big hits in that way. But it's a really good support mon. It gets access to Light Screen and Reflect, and obviously if you're running Light Clay, it's going to have a lot of usefulness. Using it a bunch of different ways. Magnet Rise, Prankster Magnet Rise, so it really can only be weak to Fire if you're running that as well. So all in all, a pretty good mon. Kind of dumb in its own way because it's a key ring. I mean, it seems dumb. It really does. I'll give that to people because a lot of people argue that it shouldn't exist. But just because it's so useful in competitive play, I think it has its place. The next mon, I am really taking a little bit too much time on this, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the honorable mentions. Dredagon. I don't think this mon should exist just because it's dragon type only. It doesn't have any usefulness really. It's super slow. Its stat line just gets totally outclassed by other mons from this generation alone. It has actually sheer force, so it can be very useful, but I'm just thinking it's just a dragon. There's not a whole lot of uniqueness to it. It's just another dragon type, and it's not even a very good dragon type, so not necessarily that it shouldn't exist, but maybe it needs to be changed in some way, given another typing, given a little bit better stats, maybe a mega evolution, who knows. The last mon on my list is actually Sunflora. I just thought that this mon was trash, and it really is. It has horrible stats. I'll scroll down to it, and it's grass typing only. I just don't think that this mon deserves to be a mon, or at least it needs something changed. It actually has a decent 105 special attack stat, but 30 base speed. It's not going to outspeed anything, and its ability is chlorophyll. So you really lose out. Its max speed is 90 speed, so even after the chlorophyll, your max speed is only at 180. Terrible typing. Its ability is pretty useless because it just still gets outsped by everything. And base 60 is outspeeded if it's max speed. So it really doesn't have a whole lot of usefulness. And it doesn't honestly pack that great of a punch. It only has access to like Giga Drain, HP Fire. Of all the chlorophyll mon, it's definitely the worst. But without any further ado, let's get into the top 10. Now the first mon on my list, number 10, is Shuckle. So unique to Pokemon. It was given to you as a gift in the second generation, and I thought it was the biggest joke of a mon. Look at it. What the heck is it? Is it a turtle? Is it a snail? Nobody really knows. It's kind of just a rock with little arms and legs sticking out. It's really derpy looking, but the reason it isn't higher up on my list is because it actually has really good stats. Even though it's really hard to tell exactly what it is, I thought, when I got this mon as a present, I thought it was the biggest joke ever. I'm running, the coolest mons. This is a generation where you had mons like Typhlosion, Crocodile that turns into Feraligatr. I mean, really cool mons. And then they give you this little derpy Shuckle. I don't get it. But the only reason why it isn't higher on the list is if you actually go over its statistics, it actually has some pretty good useful stats and access to really good moves. It actually has some of the craziest stats. Honestly, I would say the craziest stats of any mon. As you can see here, 20 base HP, 10 attack, 230 defense, which is the equivalent of a Mega Steelix. Hello? That's crazy. 10 special attack, 230 special defense, and 5 speed. So it's not outspeedy. It's going to go last basically every single time. Unless they're using negative priority move, obviously. But these absurd stats give it a little bit of usefulness. It can be used as a support utility mon. It has access to moves like Stealth Rock and Sticky Web, both very good moves. Hazards that need to be set up and have an essential core on some teams. And then there are also interesting sets that can be used. With the access to its ability Contrary, it can use Shell Smash, and has also the ability to use the move Acupressure. It can just being a tank, just stay in forever. And it actually, once they introduced Infestation, there was also the Infestation plus Toxic Stall. So it has its abilities, it has its usefulness, but overall, it's just like the weirdest looking mon. And another thing that I should know, if you are able to use the move Power Trick on it, which actually can be baton passed, Shuckle can actually reach the highest attack stat, 230, of any Pokemon. So obviously what Power Trick does is it flips your attack and defense stats, and all of a sudden this thing is the hardest hitting mon in the game. Still slow as dirt though, so you're probably going to get one shot because it only has 20 base HP. And that's really what brings it back, is even though it has such great defensive statistics, the HP just takes it away from it. It has only 20 base HP, so at the same time, while it's not going to get one shot by basically anything, super effective moves, a steel or a water type, it's definitely not going to last. It's probably going to last at least one hit, maybe two. Also has the ability of Sturdy, so no matter what, it will live one hit. It has the most extreme stat distribution of any Pokemon, either the best or in the bottom 3 of every base stat category. It has, like I said, the highest base defense stat, tying with Mega Aggron and Mega Steelix, highest base defense of all rock and bug types, It has also the lowest base, special attack, and attack of all bug-type Pokemon. It's tied for Munchlax for the lowest speed stat of all Pokemon. It's tied with Feebas and Bonsly for the lowest special attack base stat of all Pokemon. It has just the craziest stats of any Mon. It's the strangest looking Mon. You tell me what it is. Is it a snail? Is it a turtle? Does it have legs? What is it? It's a bug rock type? I don't understand. So, moving on to the next one. The next Mon on my list is actually two Mons. It's Aromatisse and Slurpuff. It's a tie. Biggest reason that they made this list is, you know, they came out with the brand new typing. Oh my gosh, fairy typing. It's one of the best typings in the game. And everyone was excited to see what kind of Mons they were going to introduce. And then they gave us these two Mons, Slurpuff and Aromatisse. Some of the ugliest Mons I've ever seen, to be honest. The Aromatisse is the Fragrance Mon, and Slurpuff being the Moringa Mon. So they gave us this new typing, and you're expecting cool new Mons? No, you get these two monstrosities. Looks like a derpy cupcake, and your 4th grade math teacher, Gwenda Snicklefritz. I mean, honestly. But a couple of cool things to note about them, they actually have parallels. Aromatisse emits a spell, and this is according to their description in the Pokedex. The Aromatisse emits a smell so potent that unless you really like the smell, you can't actually stand it. And at the same time, Slurpuff, its sense of smell is so strong, it's actually 100 times stronger than that of its trainers. So they are kind of parallels, and you know, Slurpuff must be able to smell Aromatisse from the other side of the game. Like they're game specific. I believe Slurpuff was available on Pokemon X and Aromatisse was Pokemon Y. I guarantee you they could smell each other, or Slurpuff could smell Aromatisse from the other game. But despite these Pokemon being really ugly and they actually have some usefulness in the metagame. First off, Slurpuff has the access to the move Belly Drum, plus the ability Unburden. That gives it such a unique thing that, plus its typing, Play Rough, Return, and a move like Drain Punch, coupled with okay stats, it's actually kind of a late game sweeper and can be used. It's really seen in UU more than OU. Aromatisse, on the other hand, is a little bit less seen. It's good at basically because of its typing. More of a bulky Mon, it can do Wish Passing, stalling a little bit, toxic stalling is what I mean. Access to moves like Aromatherapy, Trick Room. So it's more of a utility Mon, and just its typing overall gives it a little bit of utility. But really, Game Freak, we were expecting so much more, and you just gave us Slurpuff and Aromatisse. Number 8 is actually going to be Plusle and Minun. They're the cheering Pokemons. They are really just Pikachu wannabes, and in my opinion, they're just another two mouse rat electric thingies. They seem really like gimmicky Pokemon. They're only trying to garner Q points with the Pokefans. And if you look at them, their abilities, outside their hidden ability, Lightning Rod, which actually is quite useful, they really have useless abilities. Plus and Minus is only useful in doubles battles, and if you're using Plusle and Minun in doubles battles, it's really, really pointless. You're probably going to lose anyways. Having two electric types out on the field, it's kind of useless. But in that situation, their abilities Plus and Minus, for Plusle and Minus respectively, they actually get a 50% special attack raise. So in that way, they can be a little bit useful, but other than that, they have not horrific, but not very good stats. As you can see here, this is Plusle's stats. I believe mine is the exact same. 60 HP, 50 attack, 40 defense. So these things are kind of really frail. 75 special defense. Actually, 85 attack, 90 speed. It's not terrible, but it's not certainly useful anyway. There are so many better electric types out there. Plusle and Minun just seem kind of useless in it, and I think they shouldn't exist. I know maybe some of you have a special soft spot for Plusle and Minun, because they are kind of cute, admittedly, but outside of that, they are really useful. Useless. Then my next Pokemon on the list is Shedinja. This Pokemon only exists in a very specific scenario. When evolving Nincada into Ninjask, if you have an extra space in your party, a Shedinja will actually appear. What? So, if you have Nincada, one Mon, evolving into Ninjask, you actually get a second Mon, Shedinja, if you have an extra spot in your party. Before Generation 3, you actually have to have an extra Pokeball as well. But after Generation 3, you don't even have to have a Pokeball. You just get a free Pokemon, Shedinja. Wonder Trade, here I come. This is a 2-for-1 deal. Not exactly, but Shedinja is just the most unique Mon in that way. And it is really weird. One Pokemon becomes two, hello? But at the same time, it's only number 7 on my list because it's a really unique competitive use. It actually has one of the best abilities in being Wonder Guard. Now, what Wonder Guard does, for those who don't know, is unless you are hit with a super effective move, you won't be hit at all. So moves like, so the only type moves that will hit it are the following: Flying, Rock, Ghost, Fire, and Dark. Everything else, he's immune to it, which is kind of crazy. No resistances, but completely immune. And the next crazy thing about this Pokemon is its stats. It actually only has 1 HP. The rest of the stats seem kind of normal. 90 base attack, actually not that bad, but only 1 base HP. That meaning that at all levels, it will have only 1 HP. With that being said, unless it is a Sash Pokemon, it will die to anything and everything if it gets hit. It will die to any hazards, it will just die to hail or sand, any residual damage, such as rough skin, iron barbs, toxic, or burn. So this Mon is extremely frail. If it's not sashed, it's dead. That's basically it. You either see sashed or you see safety goggles to take care of things like hail and sand. But outside of that, it's kind of crazy because it has its space in the metagame, just being it has so many immunities, so many things that can't touch it. If you are left at the end of the game without a Mon that can hit this, game over, right? It has a solid base 90 attack stat and a totally unique typing, Bug Ghost. There's no other Bug Ghost. So Shedinja technically shouldn't exist because it only comes around, is evolved from an Nincada. Technically, it's really technical, it's crazy, and it's the only Mon like this. So, in my opinion, I don't think it should exist because it's so unique in that way. The next Pokemon on the list is Worma. This Pokemon is horrible. It has 3 typings. 1, Bug Grass, terrible typing. 2, Bug Ground, not much better. 3, Bug Steel, actually incredible. But at the same time, it's just another Cocoon Pokemon. It evolves from Burmy, so you start with Burmy, and it's another bug Pokemon, and you're thinking, cool, it's gonna evolve into, you know, another flying bug. You can't wait. And then once it comes down to it, you finally evolve them on and you get Worma. Now this is only the female version given. If it's a male, it evolves into Mothim, who, by the way, is not that much better. But come on, Game Freak, we already learned in Gen 1 that Metapod and Kakuna were so pointless, so useless. Harden, LOL. This Mon is just so forgettable, and it has abysmal stats. 424 is a really bad stat line. It has some defenses and a little bit of usefulness with access to Stealth Rocks and things like Stab, Earthquake, but it's such a forgettable Pokemon. It's bad, it's hideous, and it's just another Cocoon. You evolve a Cocoon into a slightly bigger Cocoon. I understand some bugs are kind of look like that. Plant, sandy, and trash. Yeah, this Pokemon is trash, actually. The next Pokemon on my list is Provopass. Who designed this hideous beast? Only a face that a mother could love. I don't even know what it is. It's these floating heads around it. It's got noses everywhere. It's got this funky weird hat. It's got a big old mustache. It's the Compass Pokemon. But in what way, or what stretch of the imagination does that look like a compass? With that all being said, it actually has some decent statistics. It has access to Stealth Rocks, and with the stats of defensively 145, Spin F's 150, it can actually be quite good with its typing of Rock and Steel. But with that being a Rock and Steel Mon, it has a lot of weaknesses. I'm going to scroll down to that. You can see Fighting, Ground, and Water are all extremely weak to, well, Fighting and Ground mostly. 4 times super effective. So if it gets hit by any fighting or ground moves, which are pretty prevalent in the metagame, it actually just boom, where'd the Provopass gone? It's dead. And another thing to note is it actually has a really cool ability in Magnet Pull It's similar to Magnezone. It can trap steel types, but it's totally pointless because it lacks the ability to exploit it. Hello, it has no setup moves. The only thing that you can use is hidden power, really. Hi-ho, hidden power fire. But with all that being said, it's just a really ugly mon. I don't see how it's a compass Pokemon. It's just ugly. It's just ugly. I feel bad for it. The next mon on my list is Dunsparce, number 4. This is the land snake Pokemon, but it doesn't really resemble a snake. More like a pointed tail salamander with wings, for whatever reason. It's really ugly and it's a derpy looking mon. Come on. It's unique, it's just awkward. What is it? You're not even really sure what it is. I guess it's technically a snake, but it's not skinny like a snake. I don't get it. It's not many arms. I don't understand. But it's actually based on an urban myth in Japan called the Sushinoko. Sushinoko. I'm probably butchering the crap out of that. It's an urban myth snake-like creature. It plays pranks on travelers, fairly harmless, very fond of alcohol, and it's sort of like the Chupacabra or something like the Loch Ness Monster. It's just an urban legend. And so they took that urban legend and they made it into that thing. And on top of that, it actually has really, really poor stats. It has that huge 100 base HP. Pretty much all the normal types have a huge HP stat. But besides that, 70 attack, 70 defense, 65 special attack, 65 speed F, and 45 speed. 415 base stat. Really, really bad. And it's just normal typing, so it's not really, it's only immune to Ghost. But it can't hit Ghosts because it's normal. So it's not a good mon really, but it has actually access to a really cool ability in Serene Grace. Doubles the secondary effects of moves. So after using its also very cool move, Glare, can paralyze any typing except electric typing. You can't paralyze electric types. Paralyze any typing outside of that. Anything that can be paralyzed is paralyzed. 100% accurate. Glare. It can then use moves like Headbutt, which has a 30% chance to flinch, and Rock Slide, which has another 30% chance to flinch. Multiply that by 2, and you get 60% plus the chance of para. It actually has a little bit of usefulness, but its stats are so bad. Just look at the thing. We're actually down to the top 3 Pokemon that shouldn't exist. These 3 Pokemon are kind of interchangeable for me, but I did kind of come to a conclusion, and we're going to move on to number 3. Number 3 is Luvdisc. What the heck is this thing? It's apparently some heart-shaped fish, but it really lacks any character or any development. It has an eye, a spot, and a mouth, and it's shaped like a heart. It doesn't evolve from anything or into anything. And like I said, it has a terribly non-creative design. Cuteness factor? I guess. Hardly. This is also the Rendezvous Pokemon. How is it the Rendezvous Pokemon? Rendezvous, by definition, is a meeting at an agreed time and place, typically between 2 people. So maybe because it's a heart, it's an association with love? I think that's another stretch. Also, being a Pokemon that is a fully evolved Pokemon, because it can't evolve into anything or from anything, it has one of the most pitiful stat lines I have ever seen. It actually has a decent speed tier. 97 base speed, that's decent. That's actually pretty good. You have 43 HP, 30 attack, 55 defense, 40 special attack, and 65 speed F. Just don't think it should exist. It needs a buff, it needs an evolution, it needs something. And apparently this Pokemon can fly. Woo! We're down to the last 2 Pokemon. Number 2 is actually Fiona. Now Fiona is actually a big, huge, controversial Pokemon. It's a legendary Pokemon. But really, is it? The only way that you can get a Fiona is if you either breed a Manaphy with a Ditto or another Fiona with a Ditto. What? So with that being said, it's technically a legendary Pokemon. Technically. But in my opinion, I don't think it's legendary because legendary Pokemons can't breed. So while you can only get a Manaphy from a chance encounter, Fiona you can actually get through breeding. A couple of reasons that make this even worse of a Pokemon is it's a smaller and even derpier version of Manaphy. Manaphy, I'm not even sure what the heck that thing is. It's like a fairy water thing with balls on its head. Balls on its head. Balls on its head. This is like the definition of a mon that shouldn't exist. Well, it has okay stats. Why would you ever use Fiona when you had to only get a Fiona through another Manaphy? Manaphy has its 100 base stats, and then you breed it with a Ditto and you get this thing. It never evolves into a Manaphy, it's just a Fiona. Okay, so the mon is a little bit cute, but this mon just shouldn't exist, okay? It is breaking the rules that legendaries don't breed, and it's just not very good. Here we are at number 1, it's unknown. It's the symbol Pokemon. Arguable that it's not even really a Pokemon, it just symbolizes Pokemon. And when I say it symbolizes Pokemon, it doesn't really symbolize Pokemon, it symbolizes the alphabet, okay? It has 28 different characters, versions, whatever, which really just boils down to the alphabet, so 26 characters, plus 2 more being an exclamation point and a question mark. This also had to be one of the most disappointing mons ever. You go through in Generation 2, you have to solve a puzzle in this cave, and it opens up a door into a secret room, and then it's just a huge letdown. You get all that's in there is these floating character symbols things. It's nothing unique, it's nothing special. They aren't strong, they don't learn any cool moves, they don't have any cool abilities. They just levitate. They're levitating symbols. But that's what I mean, is you go through and you solve a puzzle in the game, and it's totally outside of the actual playthrough. Meaning it has no contribution to the progression of the story, and you get this Pokemon unknown, which is just not good. It's not useful. Which then leads me to its stats: 48 base HP, 72 attack, 48 defense, 72 special attack, 48 speed F, and 48 speed. How do they come up with these stats to begin with? I'm not sure, but they're really, really bad. That, and this mon can't even learn any moves. The only moves you can teach it are hidden powers. Even the Gen 5 description, when alone, nothing happens. However, if there are 2 or more, an odd power is said to emerge. When alone, nothing happens. Is it a Pokemon? Is it the letter A? Is it an exclamation point? Nobody really knows. And something to note is they actually made a movie about the Unknown. It's called The Spell of the Unknown. It's the 3rd Pokemon movie where the Unknown warped reality. That could be so cool! Why doesn't Unknown have any cool abilities or cool moves that warps reality? Why doesn't it spin off of that? Why doesn't something happen? It's just unknown. It's unknown. And therefore, it is the most pointless mon and shouldn't exist. That's my list of top 10. If you have any Pokemon that I should have gone over, then go ahead and comment and tell me about them in the description. Tell me your thoughts. This is all my opinion. I appreciate that you watched this video all the way through to the end. Number 1, Unknown. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. I'll see you guys in the next video.